Empower Radio presents Welcome to Blissville with the Bliss Lady, Teri Willams. Get ready to connect with inspiring, motivating, enlightening, and joyful guests who are following their bliss. Now, here's your host, Teri Willams.
So as most of you know, I am a huge proponent of stepping in and loving yourself first. And every once in a while along my path, I get to meet somebody who embraces that and radiates it from her own soul. So today, listeners, we are going to chat with Barbra White. And Barbra is one of those people who not only shares that love and light within herself, she has developed a few programs to help us all embrace that love within ourselves. So welcome to Blissville, Barbra.
Thank you for having me, Teri, and I'm really grateful to be on your show and this network that you have that serves a lot of people. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And I know you are out doing this work in the world, doing workshops, and you have your own show. One of the things that really drew me to you was your work, Accepted as I Am. And you and I know how important that is for people to just tap into who they are. Mm-hmm. How did you become inspired to bring this project and this work to so many people?
So when people ask me my story, there's really two versions I can tell, and both versions are you're having some there you go, microphone back up. So there's really two versions I can tell, and both versions are true, and both versions are they tie in together. So the first version is I was raised in the natural health healing field. I really gave my first acupuncture treatment when I was 11, 12 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I've been able to see the what people describe as the soul. I see kind of like a tree, and there's many parts of that person, and I've been talking to those aspects of the soul and also to angels since I was 12, actively working with them, actively involved with them. I was surrounded by Qigong masters, karate masters at a young age. So I had this gift that I was born with, that I was meant to bring to the planet. And that's one version, and that's true. The other version, which is really a process of accepting my humanity, is I started in the natural health field. So I started doing homotoxicology, naturopathy, acupuncture. And what I started to notice is people that I talked to and really brought them through what I didn't know what the heck I was doing at the time, because it's always our light that scares us, not our darkness. Mm-hmm. So I started talking to people, and the ones that I would talk to, they would have these spontaneous healings, or they would have these life changes. And I had to accept that was more my purpose. So through the process of really stepping into the next level of my divine expression, accepting the fear around that, and then some huge life changes that were really dark nights of the soul. So in my early 20s, I had something where I really had to choose the voice of God within or what humanity was saying. And then about 4 years ago, I had one of the biggest dark nights of the soul where I really came into a personal understanding of the power of compassion, and a personal understanding of how that which we accept transforms, that which we resist persists, and a personal understanding of really seeing the light and the beauty within somebody, and knowing that the limiting beliefs, the pain, the stories are not the truth of their being. But I had to really come to know that within my own being. And so I tell people, for me, my gift was open at a young age, but my personality had to catch up. and it was about it. For me, it was about a 10-year process that really, so I know I was helping people 10 years ago, but I can say it really wasn't until the last couple of years can I say I really came into the maturity level to bring this message to the planet in a very grounded, compassionate way.
Well, I think that's really a key, what you just said here, that maturity level. I have been a single mom off and on. Thank God I'm not right now, but worked in the world in the corporate structure, although I've been practicing energy work and what people call alternative healing modalities for years. I'm at a place in my life where I've matured as well as my children. They've matured, so I can step into the reality that you're working now and work with my clients more and more. But one of the things that I really heard you say was compassion. And I have chills. I mean, really that compassion that we have for ourselves. And I'm sure that that was a key for you, was feeling that compassion. So is compassion a part of your work when you work in the Accepted As I Am field, for lack of a better word right now? I mean, is that a big key for your client's success?
Mm-hmm. So compassion, there's really, I'd say, two main components in the foundational teachings of what I bring forth. And the first one is compassion and self-acceptance. Because primarily, if you look at it, we can only receive the love that we think we deserve. We can only receive the prosperity and the good that we think we deserve. So your self-perception is going to it's going to be your whole life perception. So how you see yourself is how you're going to experience the world. If I love myself, I've forgiven myself, then I can experience a greater, happier life. The thing is, though, is we don't understand really what compassion is or love is. We really think compassion or self-acceptance is going in and fixing or healing something, or I'm going to improve this particular thing within myself. We have forgotten that self-acceptance and compassion is really a deep surrender to the pain, a deep surrender to the perceived unlovability, a deep surrender or acceptance of that thing that we think is so ugly. And then, boom, almost spontaneously, organically, naturally, we come into a broader identity of our true self as love, as spirit, as beauty, as intelligence, because that accepting our humanity to know our divinity, or accepting those perceived unlovabilities, is compassion. Because when we're able to look inside and say, oh, I'm not this fear, I'm not this anger, I'm not this sadness, and not that we try to transcend it, that's the masculine, which is important. Masculine is focus, will, conviction. But in the feminine of compassion and surrender, we actually feel the fear with love. We feel the pain with love. We actually go through it. We're with it. We be with it. And in that, we transcend this limited self-identity, and we come into that feeling of the truth of who we are, that beauty of who you are, who I am, who the person that's listening, people that are listening right now, the truth of who we are, which is innate magnificence, innate greatness, that we're far more awesome than who we let ourselves be.
Yeah, and wouldn't it be amazing if people learned this at a young age?
Oh, yes.
Can you imagine how, I mean, I know you can.
Yeah, I can.
I know, you can totally imagine it.
Because I live my life.
Right, yeah, I mean, me too. I mean, I can so imagine what it would be like if children learned this, you know, if they really accepted who they are. When you were talking, loving yourself is how a parent would love their child, or a child loves their parent. No matter how frustrated you get as a child with your parent at times in your life, that's part of the maturity process, right? You always love that parent. I look at times in my own daughter's life when she would say she hated me, you know, but really deep down, she loved me. You know, I'm her mom. That's it. I'm sure you feel that way about your mom at a point in your life. But so as you're saying that, I'm seeing cradling ourselves like we would cradle a child. Love that child regardless of what it's saying or doing. And that's what we need to do to ourselves.
Yeah, it is. And knowing that we're going to, self-love is not selfish, it's actually courageous, because you're facing the inner demons, the stuff, and it's knowing that when you heal yourself, you heal your whole community. You cannot heal alone, just like the Course in Miracles talks about. When you love yourself and heal yourself, you're actually healing your children and helping your community. And if you don't think it takes courage to face your perceived unlovabilities, look at the $1 billion of antidepressants. Not to say they're wrong. There's a time for people to use those, but look at the $1 billion of antidepressants, how all the things we use to numb our feelings. And you say, okay, yeah, we're in a culture now where the fear isn't being attacked by a tiger. The fear is facing our own stuff. The fear is looking within, and it's and to be able to love that deeply, our parents and our children, that has to come from that inner love. One of my mottos, kind of off the subject, but a neat story. One of my mottos for many years has been, love everyone like my mother. Because I love my mom. She's my mommy. I love her. And she was diagnosed with a form of breast cancer and a tumor. And at the time, I was still doing the natural health with her. And she healed it all naturally through, I mean, it's a pretty amazing story that it's a separate story. So while I was helping her to heal and what have you, I put on her file the word sunflower so that, because I was working, opened my first healing center with my father. And so I didn't want my father to see it. And I had my sisters working in the healing center as well. My first healing center about 12, 13 years ago. And so it was sunflower, right? And now, fast forward 12 years from now, I'm starting this whole online program. I'm starting this whole, I feel like another whole book in my life of bringing the work I've been doing all these years and putting it online. And lo and behold, popped up in the colorings and everything was the new logo of a sunflower.
Oh, and I love your logo. Again, we're talking with Barbra White, acceptedasiam.com. I loved that sunflower logo. You were promoting a teleseminar or something.
And that comes from my mom, which I just
right,
thought was
that's
so
awesome.
Yeah, it was like how it all tied in with 2-3 years ago, I had somebody paint my wall, and she put a sunflower in the colorings of the brown and orange. And then when I was working with this amazing person that's helping me bring stuff online, Ann Linehan, she found the sunflower logo, and she goes, "What about this?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's my mom." and it tied in with my mantra for all these years of love everyone like my mom. So it's yeah, I mean, love men like my mom, love the the people you don't like your mother,
Right. That would be a significant change if you could just love the people you don't like.
Yes.
Because we're human, right? We don't like, there are people we don't like. I mean, I tell people, even though they call me the bliss lady, I can equally be the pissed lady. And I love that part of myself too,
Well, that's what makes you authentic, right?
Right.
Spiritual's not floating 4 feet above the ground and just being all zen all the time.
Exactly. Well, my sign is a sunflower as well. I'll have to send you a picture. My husband took us to Ford headquarters on Southfield and Ford, and there's a sunflower patch. You need to stop there.
Oh, okay.
The most incredible sight you will ever see, and who would think that it would be at an automotive headquarters? But there's literally hundreds of thousands of sunflowers. It's beautiful.
Okay.
You need to go get your picture taken in there and do one of those woohoo moments, Okay, so let's kind of double back here. Let's talk about that online program. Tell me what's going to be in it.
Sure.
What's the juice? What can people expect to experience and walk away with?
Thank you, Teri. So the online program, you can go to selfacceptanceprocess.com, sign up for the free workshop that's going to be tomorrow. It's a free online workshop. And then that's going to be your appetizer for the 7-week course. And if you're one of the first people that sign up, the first 10, I'm actually offering a free introductory one-on-one session with me, which is about $150 value. So I've told a few people this, so you might want to hurry up. So it's selfacceptanceprocess.com. But the 7-week course is going to start with some foundational basics, which are also very life transforming. So it starts with loving yourself and giving yourself permission to love yourself, and then processes to love yourself. And then it moves into what I call the guilt box, or I call it the North American identity of I am broken and I must fix myself.
Been there now.
and really understanding the difference between trying to fix and improve yourself versus accepting yourself. And really, and the way to first understand the difference is really seeing how we are trapped in that guilt box of I am bad, I am broken, and after I heal this, fix this, lose the 5 pounds, or even something very internal, get over this self-sabotaging pattern, then I will accept and love myself. So we move into that, and then we also move into the purpose of emotions, how to see that the emotions are the children of the ego, and how accepting your emotions actually brings you back into the wholeness of love or creation. And then we move on to what I call the 5 main patterns of escape. And what's that?
I said I wrote that down. I wanted to ask, make sure we talked about that today. So I'm glad we led into that.
So the 5 main patterns of escape of how we try to run away from our emotions And then these patterns become our limited self-identity or default identity, or I call in my new book, The Self-Acceptance Process, the perceived protectors. So I think I'm running a tangent, so I'm going to stop talking and let you ask a question.
No, you're doing great. I want to just key in on the words. and knowing that you have your own show as well, which listeners, you'll find all her information on the page at welcometoblissville.com. You can tune into some of her shows. They're awesome. It kind of just sucks you in. But I want to talk about the 5 patterns, the words themselves, so that people can get a visual and know that when they walk away from this course, that those patterns will be different for them.
Yeah. I like that, what you just said. When they walk away from this course, those patterns will be different. Because these are the patterns that, we get hooked into, and we go, why the hell did I just do that?
Right.
I know better than to do that. Why am I doing this? And so the first pattern, our biggest distractor to self-growth, our biggest distraction to really becoming and achieving our purpose on the planet, is we distract ourselves with feeling we're responsible for another human being. Now, this is a dimension of codependence, but not technically codependence. This is where you have some emotion, you have something coming up, and you distract yourself. Well, I got to take care of this. I got to take care of this person. And it's not even able to hear the needs of your heart, your emotional body, your mental body, your emotional body, and being able to. So the first pattern is feeling responsible for another, feeling that you have to take care of another to really define your worthiness on the planet. Now, the paradox is we are here to give fully of our gifts and to serve the planet, but unless you look at that over-responsibility pattern, you're going to become a burned-out activist. I'm not talking about being an airy-fairy do-nothing, but also don't be a burnout activist. And the way to really give of yourself in a place to feel love moving through you, as you, and in you, is really to own that pattern that says, I have to take care of this person. Basically, like, I'm not happy unless they're happy.
Right. Well, you said something, over-responsibility. Yeah, I mean, we do have a responsibility to move in a specific way in the world. We're humans. We have to take care of each other. But then it gets to over-responsibility. I love that word because we all get sucked into that. Yeah. And I'm sure you're going to give tools to deal with that phase in life. So what's number 2?
Number 2 is control. And so,
we all just love that word, control.
and I like to say that we're all control freaks. When you finally admit you're inner control freak, and however it manifests, you're able to really free yourself. And so the second pattern that we try to escape our emotions that we don't want to witness and be with is we try to control, whether it's control, like for instance, let's say I had this is a common theme, but it's actually pretty big, on how it can change your life. So I had a client that she had to have the kitchen perfectly clean. And if the kitchen wasn't clean, she didn't feel peaceful inside. So her kitchen and the controlling of her kitchen literally became like a whiskey bottle. So if she felt a little anxious or, and anxiety, fear is just a great gift trying to redirect our thoughts. Fear is a gift of trying to change our self-perception. So if we be with fear, we get to come into a greater understanding of ourself and who we are. But so she wouldn't sit with the fear. She wouldn't be still. So she'd go and clean her kitchen. And so the kitchen, like it was her escape pattern, was her whiskey bottle. And so these little pet peeves that we need to control things actually have within them great gifts that if we can let go of that little pet peeve, I have to have my kitchen in a certain way. I have to have my clothes in a certain way, or I have to have my desk at work a certain way. And if you can begin to let go of that a little bit, feel the discomfort or the fear underneath, you'll begin to discover a greater grace, because the greatest way to learn grace or a flow in your life is to face those control patterns.
And let them go.
And let them go.
And let them go. And be comfortable in that letting go.
Well, to be comfortable with the discomfort.
Right. That's, exactly. Comfortable with the discomfort.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you gotta, the washing machine's got to get agitated before the clothes can get clean. So you got to let yourself get agitated for a little bit to then have that release. Yeah.
Yeah. Be the piss lady.
Yeah. Be the piss lady.
Be the piss lady. Right. Okay. Number 3. Number 3. I did my homework.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Number 3 is a people pleaser and perfection. So that's the part of us that we're all people pleasers. And that can affect our life in many, many different ways. Different patterns of approval that can affect our ability to shine, because all the ways that when we shine, if we make someone uncomfortable, if we're a people pleaser, we're going to lessen our shine because that might make them uncomfortable. So if we're seeking approval, which we'll never get, then we'll try to be perfect, which is a non-attainable goal because we're perfect in our imperfections. So if we're an approval seeker, we'll try to be perfect, and then that will lead us to taking everything personal. Because once we're in a state of approval and perfection, everything becomes personal. Oh, you looked at me the wrong way.
Right.
And you said something a little bit the wrong way. So we become, even though we're highly seeking people's approval, we become overly sensitive to what everyone and this is somebody who's in this pattern. This isn't just a 13-year-old hormonal boy or girl. This is all of us, meaning if we could say, wow, I have days like this where I'm taking everything everybody says personal, and I know better not to do this. That's why these patterns aren't based on logic. They're really matters of the heart, of being able to come into that self-acceptance and that inner witnessing and be able to move through these patterns in a way. Part of the self-acceptance process is really understanding that deep inner witnessing and being able to not try to fix or figure it out, but really allow that flow of creation to heal it for you. Yeah.
It's got to be really amazing when you work with people to see them go through the process and sit with these 5 patterns and not just see them in their lives, but be able to recognize them and feel the discomfort, as you said, and move past it. You know, I have a 21-year-old daughter, and she's definitely one of those. Oh, let me rephrase that. I'm sorry, Mal, for talking about you on radio, but she'll kick me later. But she's one of those pleasers, and used to take things very personally. And yesterday, somebody said something to her. She was texting me and telling me about it. And I emailed her back and I said, it's really not personal, is it? And she goes, no. In fact, I told the person, that's okay. I like it this way. And I was just really, really proud of her, really happy for her to see her own that, and not take it personal, because we all do that, that we all get into that space. Okay. Number 4.
Number 4 is the overgiver. And so the overgiver is somebody that's been taught that it's better to give than receive. Now, again, I feel my purpose in life is to serve, but I give love to feel love moving through me, as me, and in me. That is hugely different than giving love because I have to, I'm obligated to, or I need to. Or I've been taught by some authority figure, if I don't give love, I'm not a good little girl or a good little boy.
Right.
So the overgiver is basically the martyr. The overgiver is she or he is wondering why no one supports them. No one loves them, but they tend to give to everybody. They're a free banquet. They're a free buffet for everyone to eat at. And they've got a big old sign on their forehead that says, eat here for free. But it's them that's not allowing themselves to be supported. And that pattern of overgiving is essentially how that person's defining love, their lovability, and it's so simple but so profound. It's how they're escaping their emotions. And so when someone can be aware of the pattern, learn how to bless it and go through the self-acceptance process, how to be with the pain underneath the emotions, they begin to free themselves. So, and then I'll just go on because I know we're getting close to time. The last one is expression. That ties in with someone who has been taught to be small. So they subjugate their expression. They've been taught that to be small is to be loved. So they make themselves small. They are small in all areas of their life because they've been taught that their mediocrity somehow gets them love. And then the last one, which is the fear of love or God, is those 5 patterns become our way of experiencing love. So it's kind of like a candy bar, when I'm controlling or I'm people pleasing, it feels good for a moment because when I get your approval, I'm like a little happy puppy dog. I get it, but it doesn't last, right? So then I actually fear love, or I fear the light, because these 5 patterns have become my false form of love. And so I have trouble letting go of those 5 patterns because essentially I think those things are me. I think I'm losing something real.
Right.
And so our 6th pattern, which really ties in the other 5, is I'm afraid of my own light. I'm afraid of God.
Right.
Which everybody is.
Yeah. You talked about that earlier in the conversation, and that's what I've been thinking. That most of us are really afraid of that light.
Mm-hmm.
And why? I mean, when we can embrace that light, it changes everything. It just changes everything in your life. Somebody asked me one time, I was raised a Catholic, and so I always say I'm a recovering Catholic. Sorry, Mom. But anyway, somebody asked me what my vision of God was, sin and blah, 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 blah. And, I see God as this being of love with their arms wide open, accepting us regardless. So I'm so thankful that people like you are doing the work in the world that are allowing us to live that existence now. We don't have to wait till we move on to another plateau or dimension or whatever you want to call it. We can experience that now. So I'm really thankful for people like you that are doing the work, sharing their message and embracing it and letting people learn how to find that love within themselves. We really are getting down to the end. I could do this all day. This is amazing. I've loved chatting with you. The one thing that I love to ask my guests is if you could give our listeners one thought, what would that be? What would be one thought for them to go out and learn to love themselves?
The one thought would be to actively forgive yourself, because as you forgive yourself, you forgive the selves within all beings. And so actively forgive yourself throughout the day. In fact, even stop on the hour and forgive yourself, because there always will be something to forgive. And maybe it will be about somebody else, but when you forgive actively, you realize that there's nothing to forgive, and you realize that you are always loved, you are always cherished, and you are always supported, and that's always waiting for you. But it can only be felt if you free yourself first through forgiveness and acceptance.
Thank you. That's it. Welcome to Blissville. See you next time.